So I had some quick thoughts that I wanted to share. You can't hardly see my eyeballs with all the... I usually get a coating on my glasses so that there's no reflection and you can actually see my eyes through them. So the nose indentions are always a lovely feature of having glasses. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff come up in my feed about relationships and choosing to stay or to go. And I have been there. I was married for 12 years and then divorced. During those 12 years, I chose to stay, despite a lot of the issues or problems that we might have been having. And I learned a lot of things. I know what it's like to be in a bad situation and want someone to kind of rescue you because you're scared to make a decision. You're scared to leave. So, and you've got a lot invested. So instead of choosing to leave, you choose to stay and try to make the other person change or get someone else to make your person change. But when you have this decision to make, you have three options. You choose to stay and accept the situation for what it is without expecting any change, and you're just going to cope and suffer through it and stick with it. Or you choose to stay because you do see potential in the relationship. You feel like you have something to work with. You and your person can make things work. You can figure things out. It's worth putting in the effort and the work, and you choose to stay. Or the third option is that you decide that it is no longer worth staying, that even if things were to get better, you still wouldn't want to stay. And then you leave. So stay, or leave. I have done all three of those. There was a period of time in my marriage where for several years I decided things are not changing, things are not going to get better, I'm just going to stay, I'm going to find my own ways of coping, and going to just stick it out and stay. That didn't work very well for me, but I tried. And then I decided we'll try to fix the relationship, we'll try to work on things. And we talked to friends, we talked to spiritual counselors. I did a lot of crying, a lot of, of talking to my spouse and trying to figure out how to make things better and and explaining myself and explaining what I needed, and a lot of complaining. And in the end, that was very miserable. It was miserable for me because I wasn't getting what I needed, even though I felt like I was, constantly asking for what I needed. It wasn't great for him either because he was left feeling constantly inadequate, and that what was being demanded of him was beyond what he could deliver. So finally, after 12 years, he indicated that he would like out of the relationship. So within 8 weeks, thereabouts, I had divorce papers delivered to him. And we ended it. And then sometime after the divorce, I started seeing somebody new. And things were okay for a while. There weren't a whole lot of expectations. I was just fresh out of a marriage, 12-year marriage. I say fresh out of it. I mean, it was, I had been single I'd been on my own for, a year or more. And we decided to start seeing each other, to start dating. And there weren't any expectations. I wasn't looking to get married right away. I enjoyed being on my own. I enjoyed the peace of being on my own. But eventually, I wanted to get married. I wanted to I had this vision of having, you know, a family and of being able to have that structure again, and a supporter in my corner, and, you know, a spouse. And coming to the realization that the sure understanding that the person that I'm dating is never going to want that. And they're not going to be able to show up in that way for me, ever. And coming to that conclusion was difficult. I had a lot of time and energy and emotions and money invested. I mean, this person lived an hour away. That is traveling 2 to 3 times a week to go see this person, an hour one way, for 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So it's never easy to walk away from something or someone, especially when you have a lot invested. But sometimes you have to do it, but only you get to decide that. Only you can decide that, because only you live with those decisions and the consequences, the long term. So just keeping that in mind, you can't change anybody else, and nobody else can change you. So in the end, we all have our own decisions to make, and that is our responsibility.